I used to trust the next turn, like the last it taught me nothing. Every warning sounded distant when I thought I'd outrun each one. I could lose and call it living, take a fall and laugh it off, till the ground gave way beneath me and I learned what chances cost. I wore my luck down to nothing, spent it like it would return. Kept on walking through the fire like I had no skin to burn. Every narrow escape told me I could never fall too far. I wore my luck down till the truth was all I had. There were people who kept waiting while I gambled with their trust. I kept saying one more chance would be enough to straighten up. But a man can waste a lifetime almost choosing to do right. By the time I faced the damage, luck had left me there alone. I wore my luck down to nothing, spent it like it would return. Kept on walking through the fire like I had no skin to burn. Every narrow escape told me I could never fall too far. I wore my luck down to nothing till the truth was all I had. From learning, make a bad road feel like grace. Mercy turns into permission when you use it to escape. I don't blame the doors for closing, I don't curse what I went through. I had laughed at every warning till the warnings all came true. I wore my luck down to nothing, now I stand without excuse. No more betting love and honor on the man I might become. I have less than I once wanted, but I own what I have done. I wore my luck down to nothing, now I live by what I earn. Luck once carried me past ruin, it was never mine to keep. I wore my luck down to nothing, now I stand on what is real. I knew men to call me brother when my pockets carried weight. Watched their eyes grow cold and distant when the good years slipped away. I'd won their admiration like it proved the man I was. Then I lost what made them notice and was left there with the dust. Dust never asked who I was, never cared what I had been. Settled on the proud and broken, made no difference between them. When the world Just never asked who I was, only whether I would rise. I found work that'd been my backbone, found the nerve to start again. No one there had heard my story, no one cared where I had been. They could judge me by my labor, by the way I kept my word. A man's worth is not the favor others lend when times are sweet. Just never asked who I was, never cared what I had been. It settled on the proud and broken, made no difference between them. When the world had stripped my name down, when I had nowhere left to hide, dust never asked who I was, only whether I would rise. I don't blame the ones who vanished. Easy loyalty comes cheap. I had loved the praise they gave me more than what was underneath. Losing everything exposed me, but it did not make me less. A man is what he keeps unbroken when the world has stripped the rest. Just never asked who I was, still it taught me who I am. Not the praise that came with plenty, not the money in my hands. When the world had stripped my name down, I found what remained alive. Dust never asked who I was, only whether I would rise. Now we're no borrowed honor, I have nothing left to prove. Dust never asked who I was, how I stood became the proof. I learned young that doors can close before a boy knows why they do. So I taught my hands to steady and my face to hide the truth. There was no one coming for me, no one saying I was enough. I built strength from what was missing and called loneliness growing up. I became the man I had to, not the man I meant to be. Strong enough to bear the weight, hard enough to never speak. I lost some softness in the making, kept some kindness underneath. I became the man I had to, so the boy in me could breathe. I got good at being needed, never learned to need someone. I could hold a house together while my own heart came undone. Then a good woman stood beside me without asking me to bend. She showed me strength was more than silence, more than standing to the end. I became the man I had to, not the man I meant to be. Strong enough to bear the weight, hard enough to never speak. I lost some softness in the making, kept some kindness underneath. I became the man I had to, so the boy in me could breathe. I won't curse the years that shaped me, I won't praise what made me cold. Survival taught my feet to stand there, love taught my hands to loosen hold. A man can honor where he came from without living there again. He can thank the fire for changing him and still refuse to feed the flame. I became the man I had to, now I choose the man I'll be. Strong enough to lay the weight down, brave enough to speak my need. I found the softness I had buried, kept the kindness underneath. I became the man I had to, now I carry what I need. I do not mourn the boy I was, he carried me this far. I became the man I had to, I just don't have to stay that hard. Learned it from the older men who wore absence like a name. They spoke of blood and restless bones like leaving carried no shame. So whenever love grew serious, I would reach for that excuse. Called my fear a kind of nature, called my weakness something true. Some men aren't made to stay, that's what restless men will say, when they dress the fear up as fate and make their leaving look brave. I believed it for a lifetime, till the truth got in the way. Some men aren't made to stay, some men never learn to stay. disappeared. She never asked for chains or promises, only that I meet her halfway. But I treated being known like a danger closing in. It was easier to lose her than to let somebody in. Some men are made to stay, that's what restless men will say, when they dress the fear up as fate and make their leaving look brave. I believed it for a lifetime, till the truth got in the way. Some men aren't made to stay, some men never learn to stay. Choice when love asks what he'll become. I can honor those before me without living out their pain. What they handed down as nature, I can choose not to obey. Some men aren't made to stay, that's the lie I used to say, when I dressed my fear up as fate and made my leaving look brave. Now I know a man is measured by the truth he learns to face. Some men aren't made to stay, some men finally choose to stay. I was never born for leaving, I was only taught that way. Some men aren't made to stay, I won't live that light of day. I could twist the way I tell it, lay the blame upon your name, choose the worst of what had happened, leave out every good you gave. But the truth was never simple, we both wounded what we loved. So when someone asks about you, I still speak kindly of you. I still speak kindly of you, not because the hurt was small, not because I have forgotten how we watched our future fall. I will not turn what we had into something dark and cruel. What we lost still deserves mercy. I still speak kindly of you. There were words we should have swallowed long before they reached the air. There were nights we stayed together when only fear was keeping us there. You were not the only reason still speak kindly of you. Kindness is not absolution. It does not change the things we did. It just means I will not sharpen every memory to a blade. I can name the ways you hurt me without hating who you are. A man does not have to poison everything that broke his heart. I still speak kindly of you. Now the anger has gone still. I remember what was honest, not just everything that failed. We were more than our last moment, more than all we could not do. What we had deserved some mercy. I still speak kindly of you. I don't need to call you blameless. I don't need to prove you wrong. I still speak kindly of you. That is how I carry on. You saw the ruin in my anger, saw me reaching for someone to blame. Every hand I took for rescue only helped me stay the same. You had carried me through darkness, kept believing I would change. Then one night you stood beside me and refused to bear my weight. You knew when not to save me, when your mercy fed my chains, when another second chance would only teach me not to change. You love me without excusing every promise I would break. You knew when not to save me, so I had to face myself. I called your distance cruelty, called your silence giving up, but I kept confusing rescue with the proof that I was loved. You did not close your heart against me, you just would not bear my blame. For the first time, every ruin led the blame straight back to me. You knew when not to save me, when your mercy fed my chains, when another another second chance would only teach me not to change. You love me without excusing every promise I would break. You knew not to save me, so I had to face myself. There is love that stands beside you. There is love that steps away, not to punish or abandon, but to leave the choice to you. You could not want my life for me. You could not heal what I denied. Had you saved me from the falling, I would never choose to rise. You knew when not to save me, and I hated you that night, till I stood without your shelter and began to claim my life. Now I know the hardest mercy does not always reach a hand. You knew enough to save me. You let me learn to stand. I thought love would always catch me. You knew love could let me fall. You knew enough to save me, and that choice saved me after all. I learned young to leave things early, before roots could reach too deep. Every welcome felt like warning, every promise threatened peace. I could rest inside of kindness, leave before it knew my name. I called leaving self-protection, called the distance freedom gain. No place ever kept me. Every room became a door. I could stay until the morning, never long enough for more. I blame the walls, I blame the weather, blame the hearts I could not please. No place ever kept me, because I never gave it me. There were hands that held me gently, there were voices asking stay, but I heard a chain in every kindness, and a price I could not pay. So I left before they knew me, left before I could belong. A man can make a life of leaving and still swear the world was wrong. No place ever kept me. Every room became a door. I could stay until the morning, never long enough for more. I blame the walls, I blame the weather, blame the hearts I could not please. No place ever kept me, because I never gave in me. It was never just the distance, it was fear beneath my pride. I kept one hand upon the leaving, kept one foot outside. A man can call himself a drifter till the name becomes a lie. Sometimes home is not what holds you, it is where you choose to try. No place ever kept me, but I know the reason now. I was gone before the silence could ask what I was running from. I don't blame the walls or weather, I don't blame the ones who tried. No place ever kept me, because I never stayed inside. Maybe home was never waiting, maybe home is what you choose. No place ever kept me till I stopped needing to move. I've missed the signs before me, taking roads I knew were wrong. But the darkest kind of wandering is forgetting where you belong. I have stared into a mirror, not known the face I saw, kept on moving out of habit long after I was gone. I've been worse than lost, I was gone beneath my skin. Let a stranger wear my face, let his bitterness move in. Lost men still believe in somewhere, still remember where they're from. I had lost the man worth finding, I've been worse than lost. I have traded truth for comfort, let my silence speak for me. Built a shelter out of anger, then forgot I held the key. I could walk into a room and leave the better part outside. There are ways a man can vanish while his body stays alive. I've been worse than lost, I was gone beneath my skin. Let a stranger wear my face, let without a fight. I was not beyond redemption. I had left myself behind. So I faced the man before me, did not turn, called him gone. You can find your way from nowhere when you finally name what's wrong. I've been worse than lost, but I know this face again. Not the boy I used to be, not the stranger I became. Lost men still believe in somewhere. Now I know what finding costs. I came back without pretending. I had only been lost. There are roads that lead to nowhere. There are nights that strip you bare. I've been worse than lost, but I found myself still there. I gave the road my strongest shoulders, gave it every night and day. Watched the young man in the mirror lose a little more each day. I kept saying there'd be time when the last hard mile was through, but the road kept taking seasons. I kept calling them my dues. The road took my best years, took the fire from my eyes, took the strength out of my hands, took the man who thought he had time. It gave me miles and weathered stories, left me counting what was gone. I kept thinking life was waiting while the road kept rolling on. I came back and found their lives had gone on without me there. Those I loved had learned to carry what I should have helped them bear. I called my absence duty, called the distance sacrifice. By the time I named the damage, they had paid the higher price. The road took my best years, took the fire from my eyes, took the strength out of my hands, took the man who thought he had time. It gave me miles and weathered stories, left me counting what was gone. I kept thinking life was waiting while the road kept rolling on. I know the years we squander never circle back again. The road took my best years, but it won't take what remains. I won't make the ones who love me pay again for what I chased. I have fewer days before me, but I know what each is worth. The road took my best years from me. It won't take the life that's left. I thought time would wait behind me like a debt I could repay. The road took my best years from me. I won't give the rest away. I used to name the ways I'd suffered, like the naming made me clean. Then I learned some wounds grow quieter when they need no sympathy. Every mark came with a reason, everyone outlived the night. I don't wear them like a warning, I just know what each one cost. I don't explain my scars, they don't need another name. Some were left by hands I trusted, some were born from my mistakes. I don't ask the world to read them or decide how strong I am. What is healed needs no defending. I don't explain my scars. I have stayed past better judgment, I have left when love said stay. I have carried blame in silence till the truth wore through the shame. Now I know that being wounded doesn't make a man profound. It is how we carry sorrow when there's no one else around. I don't explain my scars, they don't need another name. Some were left by hands I trusted, some were born from my mistakes. I don't ask the world to read them or decide how strong I am. What is healed needs no defending. I don't explain my scars. There are things I still remember, there are wounds I leave alone. Not forgiveness, not forgetting, just no need to make them known. I have nothing left to prove now, I have no one left to blame. A scar is only where the body learned to close around the pain. I don't explain my scars, they have said enough for me. Some were made by what I lost, some by what I chose to keep. I don't ask the past for mercy, I don't hide the way things are. I survived without becoming like the ones who left these scars. Let the silence hold the story, let the years decide the rest. I don't explain my scars. The life I live will speak for them. I came carrying a history no one cared enough to hear. Every town had passed its judgment, every room had fed my fear. But the road held no opinion, never asked me where I'd been. It just opened through the darkness and let the silence take me in. The road never asked my name, never cared what I had done, never counted all my failures or the places I had run. It gave no mercy, gave no pardon, still it took me just the same. When the whole world knew my story, the road never asked my name. Borrowed mornings, watch the old life disappear. Miles can strip a man of lying when no one stays to hear. I had worn too many faces just to hide the man beneath, till the road wore through my answers and left nothing but the truth. The road never asked my name, never cared what I had done, never counted all my failures or the places I had run. It gave no mercy, gave no pardon, still it took me just the same. When the whole world knew my story, the road never asked my name. It is standing undisguised. It is knowing what you carry when there's nowhere left to hide. I thought distance meant forgiveness, thought the past would lose my trail. But the road did not absolve me, it just made me face myself. The road never asked my name, but it showed me who I was. Not the rumors, not the damage, not the worst thing I had done. It gave no mercy, gave no pardon, still it made me face the blame. I came back knowing who I am. The road never asked my name. Lead a man away, some return him to himself. The road never asked my name, it only stripped away the lies. These hands learn work before comfort, learned how heavy bread could weigh. They have bled through broken seasons, held the roof when hope gave way. They have clenched when pride spoke louder, shook when bad news crossed the door. They have built what time kept taking and reached back for something more. These hands have done some living. They have taken, they have given. They have held a newborn close and laid an old friend in the ground. They are one, but they are honest. Every line has something written. I may not have much to show, but these hands have done some living. They once pushed away forgiveness when a good heart reached for mine. They have learned that holding anger only steals what time remains. Now they move a little slower, still they rise when someone calls. A life is more than what you gather, it is what your hands leave on. These hands have done some living. They have taken, they have given. They have held a newborn close and laid an old friend in the ground. They are worn, but they are honest. Every line has something written. I may not have much to show, but these hands have done some living. They have tried to make things right. They have folded into prayer through more than one uncertain night. I don't call each scar a blessing, some were earned by my own wrong, but these hands kept reaching forward when the rest of me felt gone. These hands have done some living. They have broken, they have mended. They have held on through the worst and learned when they should let go. They are worn, but they are open. There is kindness left within them. I may leave this world with little, but these hands have done some living. When they finally come to rest, let no one call them clean. These hands have done some living. That is enough for me. I learned the sound of cooling voices, how silence starts to turn. So I packed my heart before it had the chance to settle in. I could feel the door was closing long before it touched the frame. I would leave before goodbye ever learned to say my name. left before the leaving hurt, before your eyes could change, before goodbye could find its voice, before love asked me to stay. I called it wisdom, called it freedom, called the distance what I earned. I left before the leaving hurt, still carried all the hurt. You were patient with my shadows, never asked me to explain, but I heard an ending coming in every kindness that remained. So I vanished without warning, left your questions in the dark. Thought an early clean departure could outrun a breaking heart. I left before the leaving hurt, before your eyes could change, before goodbye could find its voice, before love asked me to stay. I called it wisdom, called it freedom, called the distance what I earned. I left before the leaving hurt, still carried all the hurt. Fear can dress itself as instinct, pride can make a coward wise. I kept telling myself I'd leave before love changed its mind, but the first one through the doorway is not always the one spared. Sometimes leaving only proves how afraid you were to care. I left before the leaving hurt, but the hurting followed through. Every mile became a question that still sounded just like you. I called it wisdom, called it freedom, till the truth could not be blurred. I left before the leaving hurt, the leaving hurt the worst. I thought goodbye would spare me if I was the first to go. I left before the leaving hurt, I only made it grow. Most folks knew me by my temper, by the way I held my ground. I could make a room fall silent without making any sound. But I kept the gentler pieces where no careless hand could reach. A hard man learns to hide them long before he learns to speak. A hard man has a tender side, though he guards it like a wound. It comes out in quiet moments when there's no one else around. Not in speeches, not in promises, but in how he stays nearby. There is mercy in his silence. A hard man has a tender side. I have sat beside the grieving, found no words worth being heard. So I stayed until the shaking and the worst of it had passed. I have loved without announcing every sacrifice I made. Some men show their hearts by speaking, some by what they choose to say. A hard man has a tender side, though he guards it like a wound. It comes out in quiet moments when there's no one else around. Not in speeches, not in promises, but in how he stays nearby. There is mercy in his silence. A hard man has a tender side. Every hard edge that I own, I won't use the hurt behind me to excuse the hurt I've sown. Strength can turn into a weapon when a man won't face his shame. Now I let the softer part speak before anger takes its place. A hard man has a tender side, mine no longer hides away. It can hold what grief has broken. It can speak the words I buried, not in speeches, not in promises, but in how I live my life. There is strength in staying tender. A hard man has a tender side. I am still the man life weathered. I no longer need to hide the part of me that stayed human. A hard man's tender side. Never turned my hurt to legend or made a virtue of the pain. I kept my reasons in the shadows, let my hands speak in my name. I have stood beside the weary, stayed when easier men were gone. No one heard the weight I carried, they just saw me carrying on. A quiet man's history is written where no eyes can see, in the anger left unanswered, in the people he would not leave. Not every truth needs a witness, not every wound needs sympathy. A quiet man's history lives in what he chose to be. My silence has been called indifference when I had no words to spare. Some men make a show of sorrow, I just learned to sit with mine. I have loved without declaring, given more than I could name. What I lost became my silence, what I kept became my strength. A quiet man's history is written where no eyes can see, in the anger I wish I'd spoken before distance took its hold. There are names I still say softly when the dark is settling close. But I never called it weakness to let anger pass me by. A man can carry thunder and still leave the room in peace. A quiet man's history is more than silence people see. It is every time he held his ground without becoming cruel. Not every life needs a witness, not every truth needs victory. A quiet man's history lives in what he would not be. Let the loud men keep their stories. Let the years remember me, not for all the pain I carried, but for what I carried gently.